Two nations, two navies, built from steel, fire, and vastly different dreams. One sought a decisive victory in a single glorious battle, a doctrine born from a previous century. The other prepared for a long, brutal war of attrition across the greatest ocean on Earth. For over half a century, historians and enthusiasts have debated which navy was truly superior, the Imperial Japanese Navy or the United States fleet. The answer no longer lies in opinion. It is etched into the archives, in action reports, loss registers, and declassified intelligence. This is not a story of myth. This is the story of evidence. To understand the fleets, we must first understand the minds that built them. Their doctrines were not just plans. They were prophecies of the war to come. The Imperial Japanese Navy's entire being was consumed by the concept of Kantai-Kessen, the decisive battle. Their vision was a replay of their 1905 triumph at Tsushima Strait, where they had annihilated the Russian fleet. They would lure the larger American fleet across the Pacific, whittle it down with submarines and night attacks, and finally destroy it in one colossal battleship-led engagement west of the Marianas. Their entire force structure, from the massive Yamato-class battleships to the unparalleled long lance torpedo carried by their cruisers and destroyers, was designed for this single all-or-nothing moment. As historians Evans and Peaty detailed in their seminal work Kaigun, this was a philosophy of quality over quantity, of a short, sharp war. The American doctrine known as War Plan Orange could not have been more different. It foresaw a grueling step-by-step campaign across the Central Pacific, an island-hopping march of aircraft carriers and amphibious forces to seize bases and strangle Japan. It was a strategy of relentless pressure, of industrial might, and of fighting a war of campaigns, not a single battle. The US Navy, though initially battleship-focused, had its paradigm shattered by its own pre-war exercises. The fleet problems of the 1930s proved time and again the devastating potential of the aircraft carrier. While Japan built its navy for a specific battle, America's began to evolve for a new kind of war. This fundamental difference in thought would dictate every clash to come. And so they built their Titans, the most powerful symbols of naval might the world has ever seen. The Japanese answer was the Yamato and her sister ship Musashi, behemoths. They displaced over 70,000 tons and were armed with 9 18.1-inch guns, the largest ever mounted on a warship. Their armor was a fortress designed to withstand anything an American battleship could throw at them. They were the ultimate embodiment of Kantai-Keisen, a terrifying masterpiece of naval architecture. But they were built for a war that would never be fought. Their immense size made them fuel-hungry, rarely leaving anchor, and they carried a fatal hidden flaw. They were designed to fight other battleships in a world where the aircraft carrier had already made them obsolete. The Musashi's fate was a testament to this. During the Battle of Leyte Gulf in October 1944, she was set upon by US carrier aircraft, hit by an estimated 19 torpedoes and 17 bombs. The pride of the Japanese Navy slipped beneath the waves, having never fired her main guns at an American battleship. The Yamato would meet a similar fate months later, sunk on a one-way mission by overwhelming air power. The American answer was the Iowa class, fast, sleek, and brutally efficient. While smaller in gun caliber, they were a triumph of balanced design. Their 33-knot speed allowed them to keep pace with and protect the new queens of the fleet, the aircraft carriers. As noted in Norman Friedman's US battleships, they were not built for a single battle, but for a long war. Their record is one of relentless utility. They provided devastating shore bombardment for invasions, formidable anti-aircraft screens for the carriers, and yes, they were ready for a surface engagement that never came. They were not solitary kings like the Yamato, but crucial members of a team. The US built a weapon of war, Japan built a magnificent but ultimately tragic symbol. But while the giants dueled in theory, a new reality had taken hold of the Pacific. The aircraft carrier became the arbiter of victory. In 1941, the Japanese carrier force was the finest in the world. Its aircraft, like the nimble Zero fighter, were superior. Its pilots were veterans of the war in China, a corps of elite, battle-hardened warriors. At Pearl Harbor and in the Indian Ocean, they proved their devastating potential. but this strength contained the seeds of destruction. Japan's pilot training pipeline was long and could not replace losses. As the war ground on, their veteran corps was annihilated, replaced by poorly trained novices. Furthermore, as Captain Mitsuo Fuchida confirmed in post-war U.S. strategic bombing survey interrogations, Japanese carriers lacked a critical technology: effective radar. They were fighting blind. The U.S. carrier force, by contrast, learned from early setbacks. Though their early aircraft, like the Wildcat, were often outclassed by the Zero, their doctrine was superior. They integrated radar for early warning and pioneered combat air patrols to defend their fleets. And then American industry awoke. The Essex-class carriers began to roll off the lines. New, vastly superior aircraft like the Hellcat and Corsair arrived in squadron strength. Most importantly, America's pilot training pipeline was a massive, relentless machine, producing a constant stream of competent aviators. The result was battles like the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot in June 1944, where US pilots shot down over 600 Japanese aircraft for minimal losses. It was a systematic industrial dismantling of an air force. The US didn't just win the air war, it overwhelmed it. Beneath the surface, the war's most decisive campaign was fought. Japanese submarine doctrine committed a fatal error. It hunted warships, not merchantmen. This ignored the Allies' greatest vulnerability, their supply lines. In stark contrast, American submarines waged unrestricted warfare on Japanese shipping. The result was a strategic strangulation. US boats sank over 5 million tons of Japanese merchant shipping, more than half of its entire fleet, crippling its ability to move oil and resources. This campaign, documented in Clay Blair's Silent Victory and US War Patrol reports alone, crippled Japan's war economy. This silent victory was enabled by a crucial technological edge. While Japan held isolated triumphs like the superb Long Lance torpedo, the US integrated a system of war-winning innovations. Radar allowed American fleets to see first and shoot first day or night. The proximity fuse made anti-aircraft fire devastatingly effective, and through the Ultra Intelligence Program, broken Japanese codes gave American admirals a map of enemy plans, directly leading to victory at Midway. So, who built the better fleet? The archives render a clear verdict. The Imperial Japanese Navy was a precision instrument, exquisitely crafted for a single, decisive battle. The United States Navy was a system, a chaotic, adaptive, and industrial behemoth built for the enduring reality of total war. Japan's strength was its initial quality. America's was its relentless ability to learn, adapt, and produce. The US Navy did not just win the battles, it won the war, proving that the better fleet is not merely the one with the biggest guns, but the one with the most enduring vision.